Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the third day of October 2018. Well, we're going to get started right away this morning. We've had some illumination going on. I'm still being notified about my virus protection. Yes, that's already taken care of. No, I'm not using your company. I don't like forced advertisements. Apparently, we're going to get a presidential, let's see, it's 8:30 right now when I'm doing this, when I'm recording this. So what is it, about 11:20 or something? We're supposed to get an alert from it's called a presidential emergency alert or something. You know, we already have something like that in place. Apparently, it's not actually sent out by the president, is what my husband is now telling me that he read. We'll see. But, you know, after what was said said yesterday about Dr. Ford, here's the thing. Never a good idea to go after an assault survivor of any kind, particularly one like that when it's sexual assault of any kind. Doesn't matter, you know, as Franklin Graham is reported to have said, you know, he didn't finish. It doesn't matter. She was assaulted. You know, you can argue over whether or not it was who she says it was or it wasn't, but clearly the woman was assaulted. You know, those of us that have had this happen in our lives, we know what that looks like. We know what it sounds like. We know what a life, you know, from, you know, lived for 20 years after it. We know what that looks like. We know all of those things. And then to have the President of the United States make comments about this woman, well, in this year of illumination, 2018 is an 11 year. Today is a 4 day. 10 plus 3 is 13, which could be the master witch number. Or it could be a 4, which is foundation and structure, and, you know, coming to a still point and taking a look at what's going on and seeing it from a dispassionate view. Allowing thoughts to settle, allowing the will to settle, allowing emotions to settle, and to take a look at what's really going on. You know, this is the year, again, of illumination. It's an 11 year. Another master number, 11, 22, 33. Those are ones we typically don't reduce in numerology. We want them to stand on their own for the spiritual energies that are coming from it. As difficult as this year has been, we're finding things out that we didn't know before. And now we find out from an article yesterday that in the New York Times, of all places, that basically outlines how, well, the con job that was done on the American people during the election, believing, you know, about this man, what his supporters believed. But in fact, he was none of the things he has claimed to be. So we're having to cope with the effects of that, because you have somebody that, if all of this is to be believed, and I don't have any reason not to, it seems to align with everything I've thought about the guy over the last, well, since the 80s. But I don't know, I guess enough people believed what he said. That's unfortunate. Because if that article, that very, very, very long article is true, no one should have believed anything he said, because it apparently is not true. Well, it is the year for illumination. So let's count 13 and see what today's going to have for the cards will have and the rune will have for us today. All right. Well, I have the Page of Cups, so we're going to be drawing another card. Anytime you see the page, sometimes it's princesses in some decks, but anytime you see the page, you're looking at the student. In a sense, I don't want to say it's like the Fool card, in the major arcana. It does begin the series of 4 court cards, though. And the page is about undeveloped potential in much the same way that the Fool is. And the Page of Cups, you're also looking at the idea of maybe a message with pages and princesses. You're looking at students, messages. It could be the birth of something, but mostly you're talking undeveloped potential, particularly with the Page of Cups. I always want to call it the Princess of Cups. My favorite deck is Crowley's Thoth Tarot. So, and in that deck, he refers to it as he calls her the princesses, the princes, not the knights, uh, uh, and the queen and the king. So he actually retitles things, and a lot of others use that same thing, that same change that he did, even in terms of reordering some of the cards that he did. But anyway, the Page of Cups is mostly about our intuition, our empathic abilities. We like to think, well, we like to make everything special, okay? And it reminds me of special relationships in the Course in Miracles, but we like to make everything special. And so we like to see so-called psychic abilities as special, when in fact, when we're not in form or when we're a higher density of form, which may not take form at all, we're communicating and interacting telepathically. And when you're empathic, when you're born empathic, this is not about empathy. This is about the ability to feel the vibrations around you and the energies around you and the changes that take place. Some people are medical intuitives or medical empaths, and they'll pick up people's aches and pains and illnesses. I have a tendency to do that with my husband. I was born an empath, and what you're really dealing with here is just the natural way of being. It's who we are as source presence. Um, it's who we are as spirit. You're not going to communicate verbally that way. You're going to communicate non-verbally, and you're going to communicate vibrationally and energetically. And when people are born as empaths, you're not born as anything. You just simply didn't lose everything when you came into form. We make this agreement so that each time we're here, it's new and we're learning something new and we have new things we want to experience, each go around. Maybe we start out with an overall theme and every lifetime adheres to it, or maybe we change up. It just depends on what we want to do when we're here. Well, when you're empathic, all you are is you just haven't lost any of that. That's all. It's not a gift, it's simply who we are. Instead of passing through the veil without remembering anything, those of us that are born empathic still have access to that aspect of self. We didn't give it up for whatever reason. And maybe that's by design. I would venture to guess that it is. There's got to be a few of us that, can go, oh, wait, something isn't right here, and that's what an empath will do. Well, when you see the Page of Cups, you're talking emotions, and you're talking about your intuitive side as well. So when we see the Page of Cups or any page come up in a reading, what you're basically looking at then is that inner sense in just about everything that you're doing, with respect to intellect or emotions or will or your physical, side of self. you're still employing that intuitive sense. But let's take a look at one more card. I like to always pull another card with a court card because I don't think you get the entire story with them. Because it can either mean the individual on the card, in this case, a young person, or it could mean the message behind it. So let's see if we can kind of divine a little bit more from that. And we'll count 13. Oh, and that's not anything anyone has to do. It's just my thing. So for those of you who've been here before, thanks for coming back, and I appreciate it. Uh, but my thing is that I was born on the 13th, actually the 13th of October, and I just like the number 13. It figures prominently in my life. Things seem to happen to me in 13s. I don't know why. uh, 13-year cycles, the whole thing. So, in any event, we have the 16th card of the major arcana, which numerologically would be a 7. And I'll tell you my feelings on the 7 here in a second. It's thought of as divinity, spirituality, magic. I look at it as those as balance. So you would have 1 in the center and then 3 on either side would be the scales, wouldn't it? I'm again born in October, so I'm a Libran, so I think automatically balance. But here we have the tower, and the tower is saying things need to change. But as awful as it looks, people falling out of the tower trying to they're either plunging to their death or they're just trying to save their lives. We don't quite know. You know, things seem to be bigger in olden days than what maybe they were. So maybe the tower really isn't that high, and maybe something's going to catch their fall. So hopefully they'll still be alive when all is said and done. But the point is that we've had some a lightning strike hit the tower, and it's all coming down now. We can look at that as illusion that no longer works for us. We can look at it as just the basic structure of our lives. If today's a 4-day, we're talking again about structures. So it would seem to me that we need to take a hard look at who we are and how we manifest that in the world. Are we the sort of people that will attack someone who's been attacked so violently, so viciously? Are we somebody who wants somebody like that, in the highest office in the land? Do we want her alleged attacker? Which, if you simply just look at the rest of the record, how on earth would you ever allow someone as a judge who's never tried a case before a judge? And yet that's what he is right now. And he's asking to sit on the highest court in the land when he's never actually tried a case. He doesn't know the other side of the equation, save what he evidently did in law school. So I'm not really sure, why you would even consider putting somebody like that on the bench, especially with the temperament that he's shown. If you've never tried a case, why were you made a judge? Well, now you've got an interesting question to answer, don't you? So then you look at the person's background and see, well, he was quite the political operative. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your choice of professions. But if you want to be a judge, I don't think that it should be as a reward for a job well done. And unfortunately, from the empath in me, that's what it feels like. All right. Now, don't know for sure. You'd have to go through and admittedly, I'm just looking at some little things that I've read about this guy, about what his past history is. See, they don't want you to see any of it. They don't want you to see the 100,000 pages that we haven't seen yet. Or actually, I think they've given some to the committee, but they haven't given all of them. And apparently, we're not supposed to see anything, right, from this whole most recent FBI investigation that should wrap up here shortly. If they're not going to interview anybody, why are you doing it? Why are you going through the motions to say, oh, yeah, we did it? Okay, again, the tower has got to come down. The illusion under which we live doesn't work for anyone, no matter what the powers that be might think. And unfortunately, right now, you have to question everything. You can't not be questioning everything. So perhaps the message from the Page of Cups then is, let's take a look at what our illusions are. Let's identify someone. some of them. If we're looking at someone and putting faith in them, but they're going to attack somebody who's a victim simply because they can, and do it in the cheapest, most demeaning way. I mean, we've saw this throughout the campaign. We've seen it throughout his time there, and yet there are still people that are fine with this. I don't understand that, you know? I mean, do they even know what it is they're fighting for? To lose their Medicare, to lose health insurance, to lose, environmental protections? Did you know you were fighting for that, or did you just think you were protecting the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment's not going anywhere. Never has been. It's been a piece of red meat that they throw up there to try to get you to believe what they're trying to say. The politics of fear. Aren't we all tired of that from both sides of the equation? Because both sides do it. Oh my God, and maybe it's fair. Maybe in this case it was fair to do that. The lies were so big. But I don't know. We have Yura today, which is that the 14th rune is Yura? No, 14th is Perthro. Yura is the 12th. So catalytic energy is a 3 numerologically. But you can see just from the look of it, it looks like balance. It looks like energy moving, doesn't it? You've basically got Kenaz forward and reversed here, and Kenaz is thought of as the torch. It's a fire rune. But Yura, I believe, is earth. Let me look, but I'm pretty sure Yura would be an earth element. It might be fire, but I don't think so. It kind of seems like it would be more airy than anything. Let's see, I didn't go far enough here. Well, maybe I did. Yeah, it's an earth element. And basically, it's about moving energy through the body, but it's not just about that. It's about moving awareness. We can. It's almost like finding the balance, the midpoint, the 7, in a way, where you're trying to figure out dark versus light in a way. You're trying to figure out. You're moving, spirit through the body, maybe. Yeah, I mean, that would actually be what it would be, wouldn't it? Especially if you're looking at it from the standpoint of Kenaz forward and reversed, light and dark, awareness and non-awareness. It's good for the garden because, you're talking about above ground and below ground, So you're looking at that as above, so below experience with Yura. But primarily what we need to remember, especially during this time of awakening and ascension, is that we are spirit inhabiting form. And so at all times, spirit needs to inform that whole process. We have to ignore the fact that we were born through the veil. We came through that veil and into some darkness, as to who we are. We need to awaken to the fact that that's not real, that's the illusion. And maybe that's the illusion that needs to be torn down. That we need to understand that we are not the bodies that we inhabit, but that we are spirit, in fact. And so at some point, spirit needs to inform the guy in the Oval Office that you don't attack survivors out at rallies and at the Rose Garden or wherever the heck that happened. Okay? You don't do that. I mean, you just don't do that, right? Not when spirit informs your process. Do we want, and that's the other thing. We have to decide what it is we want out of all this. Do we want someone that's going to attack the innocent, attack the unfortunate, attack people that have been hurt? We're still moving kids in the middle of the night to tent cities. These are little kid concentration camps. Again, we need the tower to come down. We need the tower to come down, don't we? Whatever these ideas, whatever this world vision is that allows us to hurt people the way that we have, just in the last less than 2 years. Look at all the harm that has been happening to people, the indignity, the suffering that's been caused. the truths we're asked to accept that are clearly not. Some people did, and now we're in the position we're in. And they're going to have to look at that. They're going to have to look at what it was that made them believe someone that they should not have, at least in my opinion. If he lies about how he made his money, and I watched the clip of it. I think it was from 2016, but I don't remember now. Where he had it difficult. He had a hard time. Given $1 million by his dad. Oh, it was more than that, hon, wasn't it? He sat there. He's used to portraying himself. We are be given in a way that's just not, real, and people believe it. He's become such the carnival barker, such the man behind the curtain. People believe the illusion that he's created. This is such a lesson in letting your inner voice guide you. Because I'd be willing to bet the people who voted for him held their nose, some of them did. They thought maybe tax-wise it'd be good for them, so they did it. But inside them, there was something saying, no, 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 don't do that. Don't vote for him. And they didn't listen. But that little voice was saying, something's wrong with this picture. Something is not right. Truth is not being told. Okay? You have to listen to that. That's the empathic side of self saying, hey, wait a minute. Vibrations aren't right. Energy's not right. This is not a woo-woo thing, guys. You've all experienced it. You're all source energy. You're all the creator manifested into form. Why wouldn't you experience it? Why wouldn't you have the inner voice tell you what you know to be true? Saying, hey, wait, think a little more. Don't do this. That's not a gift. It's a given. It's my husband's expression. It's not a gift. It's a given. It's a gift, not a given. He would say it that way. In other words, don't expect just because I do something nice for you right this second, don't mean you can come back and feed at the trough of my nicety. That's his attitude. I'm a nice guy. Don't take advantage of me. People do that with him. So he came up with that saying. My husband's famous for his little sayings and for his pet names for people. I can't even remember all of the ones he's had for me over the years. But yeah, he would always say, yeah, that's a gift, not a given. Well, and what I'm saying is that your empathic ability, your ability to know when something's off, that's a given, not a gift. It's who you are. It doesn't make you special to have these so-called abilities simply because you're paying attention to what spirit is saying, to what the spirit side of self is saying. We all have that. It's nothing we work our way back to. It's present with us all the time because it is who we are, not the body, not the ego, not the personality, the spirit. That is who we are. And what we're seeing now in this awakening time, in this time of ascension, is us coming to the realization that we are one collective unified presence. And to fight against one another like we do does not help us in any way, shape, or form. Yes, friction is necessary. Yes, the spark of differing ideas coming together, maybe in service of creating something better. It's not that you're not going to ever have conflict. It's not that you're not going to have differences of opinion. But that's all it is. And at some point, the illusion has got to go away. We need to think with our intuition and our ability to know what we know is true. And we need to allow that energy exchange to occur in a way that's positive and focuses on growth, instead of on my idea is more important than your idea is more important. It's a power struggle that's an illusion and will never serve us. So instead of turning a blind eye to the so-called facts that are coming out and assume that they're alternate facts or they're the fake news or whatever, pay attention now. You know, you better realize that this was a mistake. And what we're seeing now, we don't want to cheer it. We don't want to cheer the attack on journalism. We don't want to attack and cheer the attack on women. We don't want to cheer the attack on survivors. We don't want to cheer the placing of children in tent cities. We don't want to cheer the undoing of any safety and security that we have all worked together to create in this country. It wasn't done to hurt anyone. It was done to lift people up. This has never been about us versus them. This has only been about us. And somewhere along the way, we've forgotten that. We need to remember. We need to remember that together, it's cliche now, isn't it? We are stronger together than we'll ever be apart. But it's true. Senator Flake, when he decided to stop this process for a little bit, he said that this is tearing the country apart. It is. But it's still an external thing from us that's doing that, where we're allowing it, our focus on it. We need to change the narrative. We need to change the message. We need to go back to the notion of excellence in all things. You know, either we stand for that or we stand for crap. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to stand for crap. I want to stand for something. I want to stand for truth and honor and dignity and respect. This isn't about me versus you or us versus them. It's about how we go collectively together in a way that doesn't harm people. I mean, can't we even just agree to do that? You know, judge it by that. Is it harmful? Yes. Well, then don't do it. It's pretty simple, really. But in any event, I don't know where my mouse went. There it is. Food for thought. Thanks so much for stopping by today. If you like, click subscribe. I love you to do that. I just do these just because I like to. It supports my blog. It sort of says, hey, there's a lady who writes a blog and who writes books. And so anyway, go over to Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com. Both the geomancy reading for the month and the tarot reading for the month are up. I'm going to do another post today, only it's not going to be divination, although it might be, at least in principle. But I think I'm going to talk a little more about the effects of truth, and when truth is kept from us, I should say, and what that does to everyone when someone seeks to con people. I've experienced it a couple of times in my life, and I can tell you, and I know other people have too, where you've been sold a bill of goods or someone tries to tell you, you know, suddenly you find yourself in a position where you go, oh, I see what's going on now. Well, I have to wonder if collectively we're coming to that point. So if we are, good, because then maybe the illusion will go away and we'll see things for how they truly are. And maybe that's the best message for today. Clarity. Don't be afraid of it. So today is Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow. And you all have a wonderful day, and blessed be.